When God's first, God bless us. What's going on, everyone? It's Midnight Newton here. Just getting the evening started. Just getting it started. Yeah. Okay.
You know there's more in you. More distance, more accuracy, more consistency. That's why we created the... Okay, now let me go ahead and move this out of here. There we go. So who is this for? Let's make sure you're in the right spot, that you're not wasting your time, that you're here for the right reason. You're here if you're looking for a better way to make money. Maybe you're not satisfied with your current trajectory you're on, with the job you're in, whatever you're doing to make money for your family, and you're looking for something better than what you're currently doing. Maybe you believe real estate is the ticket to you, for you to financial freedom. It was for me. When I found real estate, I quickly figured out, okay, this is the path to financial freedom for me. So if you believe that, if you believe real estate is that ticket for you, you're in the right spot. And if you're ready to do whatever it takes to be successful, I would say you're ready for this. This is the right time for you to participate in this challenge. If you're willing to make the sacrifices in time, in effort, the commitment, financially, really willing to do anything it takes to get there. And when I think about, do you have doubts around this? And I certainly did. When I got started, I had so many doubts around whether or not I could do it. And maybe you're thinking to yourself, well, how do I get my first deal if I really don't have the skills and the knowledge to do that? How do I do that? And certainly there's a learning curve here. There's some things that you need to learn and know how to do, right, to get your first deal. But that's much less of the equation than you think. In fact, really, when we break it down, getting to your first deal and building this business is actually more about your mindset than it is about your skill set. We're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go. You might also have a concern about, how do I do this if I've got a full-time job? It's really difficult to juggle work and family and try to do real estate at the same time. And there's no doubt about that. In fact, if that's you listening right now and you have that full-time job and those other commitments, you are in the hardest phase of all to doing real estate, because you got to juggle all those things. And it might look like you do your 9 to 5, and then after your 9 to 5, you're doing your 6 to midnight, right? To get your side hustle going so that it can turn into a real hustle. Now, I want to show you how to shortcut a lot of that. It doesn't have to be overly time consuming. That's a condition that we often put on this. That it's going to take hours and hours and all of this time to be able to do this. It certainly does take some time, and there's some effort that has to go into it. But when you have the right blueprint, you can shortcut that quite a bit. So don't let that discourage you. If you've got a full-time job and you're worried about, can I make this work because of these commitments I have? And then the other big concern I see quite often is capital. How do I do this if I don't have money to do deals? If I don't have a huge pile of cash or a lot of money in savings to invest, or I don't have good credit, how am I going to do real estate without cash or credit? And I'm going to show you that actually is the least of your concerns. There are ways where you can do deals with no money. There are ways to do deals where you don't use any of your money and you raise 100% of the money to do the deals. That's how I got started. That's how I still do a lot of my business, is with none of my own money. And so we're going to be talking about that as well throughout the challenge, as to how you do this with limited capital and no credit at all. So that's pretty exciting to think that you can do this business with no money, no credit. I'm going to show you how to do that also. I have a big promise for you. And this is my promise for you, is I want to show you a clear path to getting to your first deal in the next 30 days. Okay. By the way, before I go to this promise here, let me go back to these. If you have any of these concerns, if any of these 3 concerns have come up for you, if you're feeling those right now, if they've been maybe a hindrance or a roadblock for you, leave a comment in the chat. Say, yeah, Jerry, I've had those doubts. And I know they're just mental roadblocks that I can overcome. Leave a comment in the chat and let me know that. I want to know that you're aware of these. Self-awareness is the biggest part of all of this. Be aware of the limiting beliefs that you have, and just know that most of the time those are just self-imposed limiting beliefs. They're not actual, right? Those aren't actually roadblocks. And the reason why I know that is because I've seen so many people overcome them and go on to be really, really successful at this. So those are just roadblocks that you are placing on yourself. They're not actual roadblocks. Okay, so if you've had that struggle, and if you've had that self-doubt, can I really do this? Then let me know that. But here's my promise to you, is I want to show you a clear path to get to your first deal in the next 30 days. Meaning, I want to give you a blueprint and a roadmap to do that. That if you follow these specific steps, that you can get there. But I also want to be really clear to you that that's not all I hope to accomplish in the next 5 days. I don't just want to show you how to get to your first deal. I know that's step 1. I know that's the priority and the focus of this 5-day challenge. But if that's all I did was help you get to your first deal, I would consider that a dismal failure. Because one deal doesn't change your life. It starts you on the path to change your life, but it doesn't change your life. So what I really hope to do is also give you a clear plan and a clear path to earn 6 figures in the next 12 months. How to go from first deal to second deal to 10th deal, right? How to do multiple deals, how to start to get on a consistent path to doing deals to equal 6 figures in the next 12 months. And even if that was what I accomplished with you, then I would also consider myself a failure in that regard, because what I really want to do is show you how to get to 7 figures, how to scale this to $1 million a year business, and how to do that in the next 24 to 36 months, and show you a path to do that. Guys, honestly, I'll touch on it for a tiny second later in the 5-day challenge. But there's also another path to 8 figures. And 8 figures is $10 million a year in revenue doing this business. And that's also a path. That's also a possibility. And I also get to work with some of you on that as well. And that's really exciting. So, and more than anything, guys, I want you to have a big vision over what this business can be. I want to inspire you to think past your first deal. Okay, I want you to really think that there's more to this than just, how do I transact, make a few dollars, and get a deal done? If that's all you're thinking, then that's very short-sighted. I want to really broaden that perspective and help you catch the vision of what this really can become. And I want to start by talking about me and really sharing with you what that was for me, what it looked like for me. When I was 27, I was working in underground construction. And underground construction, meaning it was a utility contracting company. And they put in underground utilities like water and sewer and electrical. And it was excavating, and it was outside. This is Michigan, and it was in the elements, in the weather, cold, all through winter. And this was what I did for income to support my family. And I was married with 2 kids and 1 on the way. And I worked hard. And I realized that I just wasn't cutting it for my family. And I realized they deserved more than what I was providing. And here's the thing, it wasn't a lack of desire. It wasn't a lack of work ethic. I worked my ass off. It wasn't that. I worked hard. And I had a desire to provide better for my family. I wanted that for my family. I just didn't know how. I didn't grow up with it. It wasn't part of my influence. It wasn't in my environment. I didn't have mentors that talked to me about finance and business. I just didn't know. And I wasn't surrounded by it. And so it certainly wasn't from a lack of desire or a lack of work ethic. I just didn't have the blueprint. I didn't have the roadmap. And then I discovered wholesale real estate. Now, guys, this was 20 years ago. Wholesaling at the time was like this obscure strategy. It wasn't really known. It wasn't an industry like it is today, let alone a multi-billion-dollar industry like it is today. Not very many people know about it. And so I learned about it from like a 20-page ebook that I found and learned about what wholesale real estate was. And then by the age of 30, started at 27, by the age of 30, I now was transacting about 80 deals a year, wholesale deals and some fix and flip deals. I had become a self-made millionaire. I had achieved financial freedom. And more than anything, the biggest thing was I realized I had no limit on my potential. I went from very limited potential as a construction worker at 27 to now realizing that there was no ceiling on my life, my finance, on my ability to do amazing things. I had removed that ceiling that I had for myself. And this was in a 3-year period where I had done this and become a self-made millionaire in real estate. Now, guys, fast forward 20 years. Today I make millions a year transacting real estate, doing wholesaling and flipping millions a year. I now have transitioned into development projects, luxury real estate. This is a picture here on the screen, a house I'm currently building to flip in Puerto Rico where I live part of the year. It's a $7 to $8 million home that I'm going to build and flip. And so I've also created software, world-renowned software, Flipster and PropWire. So I'm the owner of several softwares. I'm one of the leading authorities in the industry with flipping. My YouTube channel has over 500,000 subscribers. And I've gone on to just build this amazing life in the past 20 years. And when I think about this, by the way, guys, I also have 10 kids. So I'm married for almost 26 years. We have 10 children. Same mom, same dad, so it's not blended family, same mom, same dad, and no twins. This is a picture here from a cruise we just did last year in the Caribbean. And when I think about my life now, I live part of the year in Puerto Rico on the ocean. I live part of the year here. You can see the background right now at my lake house in Montana. Some of you have come. I had 1,000 people at our lake house this past summer. And it's this dream life that I've been able to create for myself and my family, and just absolutely amazing. And when I think about the life that I've created for myself, by the way, my second oldest son got married this past year and had all the family together. My oldest is also married, and we're able to be together for my second oldest to get married. So we're moving into these really cool phases where we've got adult children and still small children. And what's funny here, by the way, guys, is this is number 9, the little guy there to the right. He's number 9. And after number 9, I got a vasectomy. And some of you know the story. And 2 weeks later, we got pregnant with number 10. That's the little girl there to the left. So the first lesson I want to teach you guys is if you want to not have any more kids, after you get a vasectomy, then you need to drain the lines for about 30 days. I still had one in the chamber apparently. And so we got our number 10, and what a blessing. We're so happy to have her. I can't imagine our life without her. So that's how we got number 10. It was not intentional. Number 10 came from a small gift from God. But if you knew her, she's a little firecracker. She definitely was meant to come to our family. And the one thing that I think about when I think about the life that I've built, the real estate business that I've created, all the things that I do now and I've been able to do over the past 20 years since I started, I've realized one thing, and I try to portray this in all that I do, is money in the bank but chaos at home is not real success. So I look at my marriage, I look at my family, I look at my spirituality, I look at the other parts of my life outside of finance, and money has a place and it's very important, but it also is not important in the areas where it doesn't matter. And leave a comment if you agree with that. Leave a comment in the chat and say, money matters where it matters and it doesn't matter where it doesn't matter, right? And so, I'm so grateful to have that perspective. And I'm so grateful that I've made sure that my family stayed a priority as I built these businesses. And that hasn't been easy. It's been a lot of work to do that. And it's one of the things that I hope to also help people do is not just build an amazing business in real estate, but also build an amazing life and family. But having said that, one thing I tell my kids all the time is money doesn't buy happiness, but being broke doesn't buy anything, right? The other thing I tell my kids often is this quote here: money doesn't solve your problems, but I'd rather cry in a Lamborghini than on a bicycle. Now, tell me if you agree with me on that. Tell me if you think I'm right there. Money has its place and it's important, and it definitely plays a part in living your dream life. And there's no way around that. You got to have money to do that, to do the great things in life. You got to have the money. So it is a priority. And it
approved. Excellent argument. Approved. Excellent argument. Approved. Approved.
Important. And I hope you make gobs of it. And I want to show you how to make lots of money.
Approved.
But it only matters where it matters, and it doesn't matter where it doesn't matter. And that's important to keep in perspective. But having said that, let's go get that money, right, guys? You have to be able to make the money to be able to do all the amazing things, not just for yourself, but for others as well. And this is something that I believe wholeheartedly. I believe that God wants you to have all the things you ever dreamed of, to be the kind of person you've ever dreamed of, to do the things in life that you only get one shot at doing, and to give back in big ways. I believe God wants you to have, be, do, and give everything you desire in your life. I believe he wants that for you, and I believe he can help you do that. And so I believe you have divine potential as a son or daughter of God. I believe that with my whole heart. Whether you believe in God or not, I just want to say that. It's okay if you don't. It's just where I stand, and I feel compelled to share that with you. And so now it's a matter of aligning with those desires. And I believe when you align with those desires and you have a
80. What is 80? They might look at all of your blood in your body. If we took all your blood out, this is what it would be right here. You would see a normal blood sugar at 80. What does 80 mean? 80 means one of these sugar cubes in all of your blood. That's normal blood sugar. But here's the question. An average person doesn't consume one little cube of sugar. They consume about 67 teaspoons of sugar every single day. That's right. I'm talking about all the hidden sugars in the bread, pasta, cereal, crackers, biscuits, waffles, pancakes, muffins, all the starches. This is how much sugar an average person consumes. How could someone actually have normal blood sugar if this is how much sugar they have, but yet when you check them, only one shows up? That is because of the hormone insulin. Insulin acts as like a vacuum cleaner, and it sucks the sugar out, converting it to this thing right here for about 15 to 20 years until it becomes dysfunctional. The vacuum cleaner gets broken, and now it doesn't suck the sugar out. The sugar builds up, and that's called diabetes. Look at all of
kids' rent is due, so let's collect the payment. Each week they earn $5 for the chores they do around the house. And at the start of each month, we charge them $1 for rent, food, and utilities. Hans has already paid his rent this month, so we will write it down in the tracker sheet to confirm the payment in the binder. Before they spend $2, we ask them if they can afford the purchase. Is it a want or a need? And will they in the future be happy they brought it? This is to help them not to emotionally spend their money on toys and sweets, and develop a habit to save their money towards bigger things for their future self.
That's so great. It's really neat that parents are realizing that they've got to teach financial literacy to their kids, because the schools don't do it. Nobody did it for me. I grew up without any money. So like the idea of when I finally had access to money for the first time and started making, good income, there was a steep learning curve there, and kudos for them. I know it's a lot of work, and it seems like, you don't want to mess your kids with rent and all of these things, but man, I have a feeling this is going to pay huge dividends in those kids' lives later on. Good for them.
clear vision that God will help you get to those things. Okay. And I believe that wholeheartedly, and I hope you do too. Okay. Now, there's a declaration I want you to make, and this is one of the first assignments I'm going to ask of you, is I want you to make a declaration. And a declaration is a statement you make, and you put this out there to God, to the universe, to people around you, to me. And this is your commitment. Your commitment is, Jerry, I commit to you, to myself and God, that I will do whatever it takes to be successful so that I can bless my life, my family's life, and other people's lives. And so guys, your first assignment is to type this in the chat. Do this right now in the chat. This is you manifesting when you do this. When you put this out there, you're telling the universe that's giving you the opportunity for these things to happen to you. But I want you to take it a step further. I want you to type this out, write this, and put this on your mirror or somewhere where you see it visibly every day. Okay? So go ahead right now. Put this in the chat. Jerry, I commit to you, myself, and God that I will do whatever it takes to be successful so that I can bless my life, my family's life, and other people's lives. That's really why we do this, isn't it? So go ahead and do that, guys. I want to see you guys putting those in the chat. By the way, guys, thank you everybody who's participating. This is really cool to see you guys, just being involved here. Okay. Here's the problem, though, and let's start to get into day one here. I want to really start to dive into day one. And day one, by the way, guys, is all about finding deals. We're going to get to that in a few minutes, but I've got to set the groundwork. I want to lay the context of what I want to be sharing with you over the next 5 days. Because I feel like if I can give you the big vision, the big picture of what we're doing here, it will help you then, do the day-to-day steps, right? The down in the weeds stuff that you have to do. But I want to be kind of up high and be at a high level, 30,000 feet looking down type of perspective. And here's the problem that most people have, just like me. It's not a lack of desire, and it's not a lack of work ethic, and it's maybe not even a lack of knowing real estate. What happens here, though, and the problem here is most people do wrong strategies in the wrong order and at the wrong time. And that's a problem, because if you're on the wrong ladder, climbing the wrong ladder, you're going to get to the top and realize you're on the wrong building. You're climbing the wrong ladder and you're going to the wrong place. And this is something that I've seen over and over again, is people on the wrong trajectory. And so I want to try to help you see this the right way so that you can be on the right path. When you're on the right path, then now the moves you make matter. They move the needle. They put you in the right alignment for things to happen the way they should. And what I mean by this is, the best way for me to describe this is I call this the speed of money. And the speed of money is, there are 3 different levels of how money comes into your life. And these are ways that you earn money. These are ways that money comes to you. And in business, I like to think of this. And the first one is fast money. Now, fast money is where you're doing things in business that are going to earn money right away. And this would be like under 30 days. Maybe it's 60 days, but it's fast. You're doing things and the money comes very quickly. And this is wholesaling, by the way. Wholesaling is fast money. Wholesaling is when you make $10,000 on a deal and you find that deal today, and in 30 days that $10,000 is in your bank account. That's fast money. The next speed of money is medium speed money. And medium speed money would be maybe 90 days, 4 months, 6 months, really 6 to 12 months. That's medium speed money. And in real estate, that would be like a fix and flip, because you're going to buy the property, you're going to do a bunch of work on it, you're going to put it back up for sale, and then you're going to sell it and see the money then. So it's work you do where you don't see the money for 6 to 12 months. And that would be like a fix and flip, and let's say it's $40,000, a typical fix and flip. And that would be medium speed money. And then slow money would be long-term money, it would be passive income. It would be like a rental property that's kicking out some cash flow. Maybe it's private money lending where you're getting a return on your money that you lent out. And it's that mailbox money. Maybe that's $500 a month. And it's slow money, right? You're not getting a windfall of money. It's not a lot of money. It's little trickle money that comes in over time. Now, a really, really well-financed business or a way of making money ideally would have all three of these, right? You'd have fast money coming in every month. You'd have medium speed money, chunks of that coming in every 4, 6 to 12 months. And you'd have nice, slow trickle money coming in all the time too, right? Wouldn't you agree? Leave a comment in the chats and say, Jerry, the perfect way to make money would be a combination of fast, medium, and slow speed money all coming into my life in all three of those areas, whatever it looks like, but just having that type of income coming in would be huge, right? In fact, the ideal business, the perfect business would have all three of these elements. Tell me if you agree with that. Leave a comment and say, yeah, that would be the perfect speed of money. And here's the problem. This is where I was going in the previous slide. The problem is wrong strategy, wrong timing, and the wrong order. People get this out of order. They get this all screwed up. And meaning that they're not working on the right speed at the right time in the right order. And if you're working on things and they're out of order here, you're going to really get yourself screwed up. I've seen businesses that are making millions of dollars go out of business because they had the wrong speed of money coming into their business. Okay. And I'm going to use a couple analogies to help this kind of set in and grasp. The first analogy is what I call the high school analogy. In real estate, this would be like freshman year is wholesaling, sophomore year is fix and flip, junior year is rentals, and senior year is development or commercial. My slides are a little funky there, but freshman is wholesaling. So think about your different years of high school. All of this is developmental. That's the point here. It's all developmental. Freshman's wholesaling, sophomore fix and flip, junior are rentals, and senior would be big things like commercial or development. Another analogy I like to use is you're using your legs, right? So you guys have heard this, you gotta crawl before you walk, and you gotta walk before you run, and you gotta run before you sprint. So this would be like crawling would be wholesaling, walking would be fix and flip, running would be rentals, and sprinting would be development and commercial. Okay, it's that idea around the right order of things. And another way I like to put this, and the way I like to describe this, is in the beginning, you have to focus on creating massive income,
audio and video
active
recording
income.
this right
That's the
for your
fast
safety.
speed money. You got to focus on that first. And then when it's developmentally appropriate, you can work on the medium speed and the slow speed money. And that's that passive income later. It's not that we ignore it. It's not that we don't want that. It's not that it's not important. It's definitely important. It's just in the right order. Okay, tell me if that's making sense to you. Tell me, guys, if that's resonating with you. This idea around strategies that are going to create fast money first. Then once I've got fast money coming in really well, then I'm going to work on that medium speed money. I'm going to get that coming into my business and into my life. And then once I've got fast and medium speed money, then I'm going to start to create that slow speed money. Tell me if that makes sense. Leave a comment in the chat and tell me that that's resonating with you. And guys, if you have questions too, as we go through this, put those in there. I probably won't be able to see those right away, but my team will try to help you and answer those as well. Okay, so the image you see here on the screen, this is a printing press. And I like to think about getting started in real estate as your printing press. You have to start printing money, or I like to call it the ATM machine, right? You got to have a model that's kicking out cash, and that's got to be kicking that cash out fast. When you create a printing press in your life and you've got money coming in, that solves a lot of problems, right? A padded bank account solves a lot of problems. It allows you to pay off your bills, quit the job. It allows you to reinvest. It allows you to spend money on marketing, hire people in your team. It allows you to grow and do things. Whereas when you don't have your printing press, everything is harder, everything is more complicated, and everything is in jeopardy of failure when you don't have a printing press. You cannot expand and grow and develop any of the areas of your life, lifestyle, your business, any of it, if you don't first create a printing press. So that's what I want to help you understand. One way to think about this is when you think about the speed of money. The speed of money is in year one. And again, I converted my slides from Google Slides to PowerPoint. I'm realizing that it probably didn't upload those exactly right because I'm seeing stuff out of context here. But I'll just explain it. When you think about implementing fast, medium, and slow speed strategies, in year one, I tell people you should be focusing probably 100% of your effort into fast speed money. And that's typically wholesaling, 100%. Don't take on a fix and flip and don't take on rentals. Not yet. Year one, just focus on getting that printing press created. Then maybe in year two, and it doesn't have to be year, I'm just saying, think about it that way. First, get your fast speed money coming in. Get that working well. Get your printing press going. Once that's dialed in and it's working well and it's consistent and it's kicking out a lot of cash, then consider, okay, now I'm going to take on some medium speed money. And this might be 80-20 now. It might still be 80% fast speed money and now 20% medium speed money. This might be for every 4 wholesale deals I do 1 fix and flip. Or every 9 wholesale deals I do 1 fix and flip, right? You're still not taking your eye off the ball on bringing in the fast money, but you're injecting now a little bit of medium speed money. And then maybe year 3 looks like you're doing, maybe it's like 70% fast speed money. Maybe it's 20% medium speed money and 10% slow speed money, which maybe you take on a rental. Maybe you do, for every 10 deals you do, maybe 7 of those are wholesales, maybe 2 of those are flips, and maybe 1 of those you keep as a rental. Like, that's the way I want you to think about this. It's all developmental. How do you developmentally progress so that you've got fast, medium, and slow speed strategies all working in your favor? Even when it's all dialed in, by the way, guys, even when it's all dialed in, it's still going to be mostly fast speed, a little bit of medium speed, and a little bit of slow speed. Like, that's the ideal business. Okay. Think about the baseball analogy as you start to look at deals. When I look at deals and opportunities, when I look at opportunities in business and in real estate opportunities, I look at singles, doubles, and triples using the baseball analogy, where I don't want those deals. I'm going to wholesale those deals. I'm not going to take those on. I'm not going to tie up my bandwidth, my capital, my team, my energy and effort. I don't want to tie that up on deals that are not have big payoffs. Those would be singles, doubles, and triples. Those deals, I want to wholesale. I want to pass those off to somebody else, because guess what? Somebody else will gladly take those skinny margin deals. I don't want skinny margin deals. If I take on skinny margin deals, I'm going to screw up my slow, medium, and fast speed model. I'm going to be doing too many deals that don't have big payoffs. Okay. The more you take on, the more the return needs to be, and the more set up you need to be to handle it. So that's why, think about it that way. You want to keep only the home runs, and only when you're ready. Even home run deals, you pass those off until you have your printing press set up. Okay. Once the printing press is set up, then you want to start to be super careful about what you take on. Even then, once your printing press is set up and you're producing high cash in your business, even then, you still want to be very careful to only take on wholesale, only take on flips or rentals that are really home run deals. These are the best deals out there. These are the best of the best, the cream of the crop. Those ones are like, man, I'm not passing this one off. I'm keeping this one. Now, everybody has a different definition of what a home run deal is. And hopefully over time, that threshold of what you consider a home run deal goes up and up and up, meaning it's got to be a bigger deal for it to be a home run deal for you. Okay. For example, a very simple way that I look at it is, I really don't want to take on a fix and flip unless it's got $100,000 net profit and it's cosmetic. It's an easy flip. Okay. Then I'll consider taking that on as a flip. For example, I've got a deal right now in Puerto Rico where I live. I bought it for 500.
Audio video
I put
recording
100,000
stopped.
into the rehab. It was cosmetic, even though it was 100,000. It was still all cosmetic, meaning it was easy. It was surface. Right, like countertops and things like that. It wasn't like a gut and moving walls and redoing all the electrical. It wasn't massive. So I bought it for 500. I put 100 into it, and then I just contracted it 45 days ago for 805, and I close I think in a couple weeks. So I'm going to close it for 805,000, all in for 600,000 after paying commissions and closing fees and some financing. I'll clear 150,000. So 150,000 on a 30-day rehab, that was pretty easy and fast and quick to do. That's a home run deal. That's something that I'm excited to do. Okay. Now, if I would have done all of that to make 25 grand, that's not really a home run deal for me. Maybe it is for you, but for me, that wouldn't be considered. I don't think you should consider that a home run deal either. But that would be too small. I would just try to wholesale that deal and let somebody else take on the effort to do that deal. Okay. Does that make sense? So think about deal flow and deal opportunity also from the baseball analogy of singles, doubles, triples, and home runs. All right. And just to sort of give a perspective on this, just to kind of think about this from your income potential right now, if all you did was 3 wholesale deals a month and they average $10,000, the national average is like $14,000 or $15,000. If you just did 3 deals consistently every month for a year, that would be $360,000 a year. Just 3 deals a month at 10,000 average wholesale deal per month. You can do that with no team, all by yourself, a solo operator with the right systems and right structure and the right plan, right? The right blueprint. You can do that and make $360,000 a year. Now, put in the chat right now if $360,000 a year would allow you to quit your job and do real estate full time. If that would allow you to do that and maybe have some excess cash setting aside. Like if that was you and that could do that for you, leave a comment and say, Jerry, 3 deals a month, 10 grand a pop, that would do it for me. That's not the end game, but that would allow you to go at this full time and really put your heart and soul into this. Okay. You guys can do this. That's what I hope you guys grasp from this is that's not impossible. And every single one of you can get to that point and you can do it fairly quickly. But it all starts with that first deal. It all starts with the first deal. The first deal is a pivotal moment in your life. It's transformational, or it can be. It can be transformational if you allow it to be. It can be the starting point to put you on the path. It was for me. I'm going to talk about it in a second, but it's that proof of concept. It's proving it to yourself. I can prove it to you. Guys, if you go on my YouTube channel, I've got hundreds of videos where I interview students doing their first deals. And so you can watch that and you can see that person and you're like, man, that's me. I'm that person. I'm in that same spot. They just got started. They just learned these things. They went out and did a deal. But it's different when you do it. When you do it, your brain snaps into gear. Something happens where you're like, okay, yeah, Jerry can do it because Jerry's a flipping genius. And yeah, his students can do it because they have some kind of special talent I don't have, or whatever thing happens in your mind. But when you do it, it now is real. And you cannot get on that path to millions of dollars and a life of your dreams without first getting that proof of concept. So I recognize how extremely pivotal it is in your journey, how massively important it is to get there. And so we have to get you there. This is my first deal here, guys. I went back years later and I did a video about it. I took this, picture of me in front of it. This was my first deal. I want to talk about it here for a minute. This was a deal where at the time when I got started, the only strategy I was doing was driving for dollars. And that meant driving around looking for distressed properties. And so I was driving up and down these neighborhoods in this little town called Pontiac, Michigan. And Pontiac, Michigan is sort of like a mini Detroit. It's a low-income neighborhood or city outside of Detroit. It's not in the city of Detroit, but it's think Detroit when you think of Pontiac, Michigan. And, houses that you buy for $10,000, that type of thing. Now, it's a little different today, but 20 years ago, that was the market. And so I would drive around, I'd look for dilapidated houses. I would try to figure out who the owner was, and I'd try to get a deal. And that's how I got started. And when I drove by this house, there was a tiny for sale by owner sign in the window, and it was faded from the sun. It had been there for how long? I have no idea. And I literally had to get out and walk all the way up to the window, standing in the front yard, and to try to make out the phone number on the sign. It was all faded, and I wrote it down, and I called, and it was some out-of-state person, and they basically had moved on in life. They did not care about this property. They weren't actively trying to sell it. They basically just forgot about it and given up on it. Perfect seller, right? So, I'm not knowing what I'm doing, never done a deal. We agree on a price of $12,000 for the house. Okay, so now is that a deal? I don't know. I think it's a deal. And so I fax him, guys. I fax this guy an offer on this janky contract that I found, on the internet or something, and he signs it. So I've got the contract for $12,000. Now I got to find a buyer. Now, what I did at the time was, when I first got started in real estate, I went and got my real estate license, because at the time, the only thing I could think of where I could get help to find deals and do research was on the MLS. And at the time, that was really all there was. There was no other tools. You didn't have PropWire that's free or any of these other services. So I went and I got my real estate license, and and then I went on the MLS, and I found this feature in the MLS where you could look up sold transactions for cash. So I had a category where it would tell you how they bought it, whether it was FHA, VA, conventional, and one of the categories was cash. So I did this search for cash sold transactions, and I did a radius, like I drew a circle around this house. So I went like half a mile out, and it was what houses have sold for cash in like the past 6 or 12 months. And then I went through and I looked at each one of them, and I noticed that there was a guy named Ren, R-E-N. I forget his last name. Ren was his first name, and he was Cambodian, from Cambodia. And I noticed that in the past 6 months, this guy had bought like 20 houses, because I found it right on that list of cash transactions. By the way, guys, you can look up cash transactions on PropWire totally for free. It's all right there. We're going to get to that on, I think, day 3 or 4. I'll show you how to do that. But I look him up, and I'm like, okay, this guy's buying houses all over the neighborhood. But how do I find this guy? They didn't have skip tracing back then. And so I thought, well, why don't I just go knock on the house? I've got the address of the house he bought. Why don't I just go knock on the doors? So I literally would go to these properties in the middle of the day, and I knocked on the doors. And I knocked on one door of a house he bought for cash in the neighborhood where this house is. And a tenant answers the door. And he says, I'm the tenant here. And I said, yeah, I'm looking for Ren. He says, oh, that's my landlord. I said, oh, cool. Do you have his number? And he's like, yeah, here's his number. And he gives me his number. Now I got the guy's number. So I call the guy up, and I'm literally like sitting in my beat up pickup truck, S10, 1990 S10 pickup truck, in the driveway of the tenant at a house he bought, months earlier. And he's got a really thick accent. He's an immigrant. And I say, hey, I got a house over here on XYZ Street. I'm looking to sell it. And he says to me, can I meet you there in 5 minutes? I'm like, yeah. So we meet here in 5 minutes at this house, and it's vacant, and we walk around in the house. He basically walks the house in like 2 minutes, and he says, what do you want for it? And I say, 18,000, right? Or 19,000. And he says, he came like 1,000 under. He's like, okay, I'll do it for 18,000. I'm like, okay, sweet. So I get out an assignment agreement that I printed off, and I'm looking at this assignment, and I've got it on like, on like a clipboard, and I'm looking at it, and he's looking at it, and we're both standing there looking at it, and I have no idea how to fill it out. And I was hung up on where it said assignor and assignee. I didn't know, am I the assignor or am I the assignee? I don't even know. And I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at him, and I feel like an idiot, and he's looking at me, and he quickly figures out that I don't know how to fill this out. And so he points at it, and he says, assignor, that's you. I'm like, okay. So I put my name on the assignor, and he's like, assignee, that's me. And he basically helps me fill out the assignment contract. And we fill this thing out, and I'll never forget, you guys. I'll never forget getting in the car, and I had assigned a $6,000 deal. We still had to go to closing, which that all worked out okay. But I get in the car, and I fist bumped the ceiling in the car. Like I kept my composure. He leaves. He drives away. And I had done it, right? I had signed a buyer, And I hadn't got the money in my account yet, but it might as well have been $1 million as far as I was concerned, because I did it. I did the thing that I had been working on doing, and it was a $6,000 deal. I went on to do dozens of deals with Ren. He was a very active buyer. He would basically bring Cambodian immigrants to the States, put them to work, put them in housing, and he had this entire operation. I think he owned hundreds of properties, and he ended up being like one of my best cash buyers for like years to come. And he didn't care. Like, he didn't care that I was assigning deals to him. He just wanted properties and was buying whatever he could buy. And it was just this amazing experience getting my first deal, and a very special moment in my life. Like, even to this day, that first deal means a lot to me. It was 20 years ago, guys, but it means a lot to me, because where I'm at today all started with this house right there, that house. I wish I had taken a check, my $6,000 check, in front of that house when I got it at closing. And if I had that day, that picture, it would be on a frame on my wall, because it would be a very special moment for me to always remember. And I want you to do that, guys. I want you to, when you do your first deal, those of you working on your first deal, I want you to, when they say, do you want a check or a wire, get a check. They're going to overnight it to you. And I want you to go to the property. I don't care if you got to get on a plane and fly there, if you're doing it virtual, and take a picture holding that check in front of that house and frame it, because it will be a pivotal moment in your life that will change everything for you. Okay, so how do we get there? You are just one deal away from the life of your dreams. You're one deal away from the life of your dreams. So how do we get there, guys? First thing you have to do is you have to get crystal clear on your market. What market are you going to do? Are you going to do your backyard market? This is where you live. This is close to home. Or are you going to do a remote market? This is virtual. This is in another market away from where you live. That's the difference here. It's where you close on the phone virtually and you close in person in your backyard. Okay, now there's no right or wrong. There's pros and cons to both. When you look at your market, how do you define a market? Well, here's how I want you to define a market. And this is part of your homework assignment. I want you to choose a minimum population of 500,000, ideally 1 million in population. You can Google this. And this has to be a driving distance of 1 hour. So if I pick Atlanta Metro, my market would be, if I put a pin in the middle of town, or where you live, if it's your backyard, anywhere I can drive to in about an hour, that's my market. As soon as I go further than an hour, that starts to become outside of your market, and I would consider that more of a remote market. Even though you can drive there, it's still outside of an hour. Okay, think about it this way conceptually. Where can I go in an hour, and is that population big enough? So if you live rural and you can drive an hour and you're still rural, that's not a market where you're going to have enough opportunity. You've got to have a big enough population that you can get there in an hour and cover about 500,000 to 1 million in population. And I want that market to also be at a price point where the median home prices are over 300,000. Okay, I do not want you choosing a market that's very low income, because it's going to be very hard to find enough opportunities with enough margin to do bigger deals. Okay, so that's your criteria. That's part of your homework assignment. I'll circle back to that, but you've got to get clear. You can't do anything in this business until you get crystal clear on your market. And once you define your market, you got to commit to it. Market hopping is one of the biggest mistakes I see people do, because you're going to have to put effort into that market. You're going to have to build out systems and tools and lead gen. We're going to get to that lead generation in a market. So the minute you switch markets, you're starting back to ground zero. I also would advise you not to do multiple markets. You can expand into other markets in time. For now, just hyper focus on one market. Okay. By the way, if you're clear on your market, leave a comment in the chat and put your market that you're clear on. And also put next to your market, put backyard or remote. Okay. So do you know your market? And is it your backyard, or is it a virtual market, remote or virtual market? Put that. And if you don't know your market yet, put undecided, but I'm going to get it figured out real quick. Okay. Because you have to. That's first thing. Nothing else I talk about will matter if you're not clear on your market. Okay. Now, I also want to caution you of the grass is greener syndrome. Many people will leave a market. If your market fits this criteria right here, I would highly advise you not to jump to another market. You don't need to. You've got a great market. Stay in your market. It's better to do your backyard than virtual unless there's a compelling reason why. Some of the compelling reasons might be you're rural, or you might be in a very expensive, difficult market like, I don't know, Southern California or New York City or something. That might be a reason why you would do virtual, or you're just too virtual. You're too rural. Okay, those are some reasons. Otherwise, stick to your backyard market. Okay, now let's break down how to get to your first deal. We're going to be talking about 5 steps here. We're going to be breaking these down over the next 5 days. And we are going to be running over time on that. I need to let my team know that I'm supposed to keep this to an hour. We will be going over an hour. I will keep that more than an hour on the next couple of days. I really wanted to focus on the vision and some of the big picture stuff here. Leave a comment if you're okay if we go over an hour. I know that's a big no-no. If I tell people an hour, I better do it at an hour. I don't want to lose trust with you. But leave a comment if you're okay to stay over an hour. Because I really want to get into some of this stuff, and it's going to take me more than 10 more minutes to get to that. Okay, so the very first step here that we want to focus on is finding deals. And when you think about lead generation, you need to become a deal finding machine. I look at this like turning on a faucet that you never turn off. You need to be generating leads every day from now on for the rest of your life. This has to be a part of your way of being, is that you generate leads. Lead generation is the lifeblood to the business. If you cannot generate leads and enough of them, nothing else falls into place. It all crash and burns. Okay. You have to be a deal finding machine. And I'm going to refer to this as lead gen, or also I refer to this often as your marketing channels, your different ways to generate leads. And when we think about lead gen, there are really 3 different methods. There's free methods, there's low cost methods, and there's high cost methods. And there's a direct correlation between those different models, right? When you think about lead gen and you think about the conversion of leads and you think about the cost of leads, there's a direct correlation between the quality of the lead and the cost of the lead. And we've noticed, and I found out, that there's a direct correlation between outbound and inbound. Now, leave a comment right now if you know the difference between outbound and inbound. Put in the comments what outbound is and what inbound is and what that means. This is something in marketing that you have to understand. What an outbound lead is and what an inbound lead is. You have to understand the cost correlation between outbound leads and inbound leads. And you have to understand the quality of lead based on whether it's outbound or inbound. Okay, so leave that in the comments. I'm gonna get into it and share more about what this is. But when you think about free, what are the free methods? Well, free methods would be like driving for dollars, like I did when I started, driving around looking for distressed houses. That doesn't cost you anything other than time and gas. Door knocking. You see that house, you knock on the door, you ask them if they want to sell it. That's free. Agent outreach.
Finally, something that's
a free
worth
method.
picking
All your
up. Oh
agents
my
looking
God.
for deals, doesn't cost you anything. This might be, for sale by owner on Zillow. That's a free method to
20
find
minutes.
deals. Then we have low cost or cheap, and this would be cold calling. Cold calling and texting is low cost. There is a cost to it because you have to skip trace those leads, get phone numbers. There's a little bit of cost there, but it's fairly inexpensive. You might hire out the cold calling. That might cost you a little bit to hire out somebody to do the calls for you, but it's fairly low cost. But then you have your expensive, and your expensive is Facebook ads, direct mail, TV, radio, SEO, where you're paying to be on the search engine, pay per click. This is Google ads. But notice here when we look at this chart that as you go from outbound, and guys, what's outbound? Outbound is where you're reaching out to the client. You're reaching out to the seller.
We are audio and video
You're
recording this
outbounding
ride
to
for
them.
your safety.
You're calling the seller and saying, hey, do you want to sell your house? Inbound is when they're calling you and saying, hey, Jerry, I want to sell my house. There's a big difference between outbound and inbound. Inbound leads is the holy grail. Those are highly motivated sellers because they're calling you to sell their house, not you calling them to find out if they want to sell their house. So how do we create inbound leads? If you look at this chart here, the further you go from outbound to inbound, also the
H&R
more
Block here.
effective it is, the higher the conversions, and the more expensive. So what do? How do we solve this problem? What do we do about it? Well, again, everything is developmental. If there's anything you learn from Jerry, it's everything is developmental. Start where you are and move your way into that direction. And so for me, what is the best free and low cost method to start with? Well, it would be the door knocking, it would be driving for dollars, it would be cold calling, it would be texting, it would be agent outreach. Of those, which one is the best one to start with? And I'm a firm believer that agent outreach is the best of the free and low cost methods for you to start with. And I'll explain why that is. When you think about agents, the agent model, I break it down into 3 different strategies. And the first one is what I call the sniper method. And this is where you're going to actively make offers on listed
I don't know what that
properties for
emoji
sale.
means. What are you getting at?
This is a seller, it's a distressed property, they're motivated, but rather than go find their buyer, off market, they hire an agent to sell it for them. Okay, and then we're going to go target those leads, we're going to go reach out to those agents, and we're going to make offers on those. It's a sniper method because we're trying to cherry pick that deal that's for sale. Okay, that's one method. The second method is what I call the shotgun method. And this is just cold outreach. This is just cold calling any agent in your market. Doesn't matter if they have a listing, doesn't matter if they talk to sellers that are distressed, doesn't matter anything. You're calling up agents and you're saying, hey, if and when you find a distressed property, I'm a buyer, I'm interested, call me. That's basically the shotgun method. You're trying to shoot, bird shot everywhere and get as much as you can from agents in your market. And then the third model is the reload method. Since we're talking about guns here with this, reload would be follow-up, follow-up, follow-up. You're following up with the agents that you met on the sniper method. You're following up with the agents you reached out to on the shotgun method. It's just actively following up to see if they've got a deal. It's front and center. You stay front of mind, then those agents are going to tell you when they get deals. Okay? So we want to implement to do the agent model really well, all 3 of these as a combination. We want to be working on all 3 of these. So how do we get to these leads? I'm going to share with you 3 tools. These are free tools. You're going to want to download these tools and use these. The first is what we call the Data Cruncher. This is a simple software tool that I developed. You can get it at mydatacruncher.com. What this tool does, just so you kind of have context, is it goes out and it finds all the properties that are actively for sale. Then it does a scraping method where it looks at everything that's sold in that zip code. And then it says, okay, what are all the homes actively for sale now that are below the average price per square foot in that zip code in the past 6 months? If I just lost you right there, bottom line is this tool will find you underpriced homes for sale right now, actively listed for sale that are under the average sold price in the market. It's just a cool tool to get right in front of probably distressed properties. Okay. And it's really simple. Once you download that tool, all you do is put in a zip code and it's going to give you a list of properties. The second tool that you need for on market is PropWire. PropWire is also free. Just go to joinpropwire.com and you can get on market.
Might as well drop this food off. Why is everything so dark?
We are audio and video recording this ride for your safety.
Well, on PropWare. Now let me just show you a quick screen cap. You just go to joinpropware.com, you put in the zip code, the county, the city, and then you go down to the lead type and you click MLS active. Okay, that's all you do, and you're going to get in front of listed properties that are distressed that you can go after. The third one is Redfin. Now, Redfin has a really cool thing called Fixer Upper. And if you look here at the screenshot here, you go up and you pick the county that you're farming for. Then you're going to go to the filters, and you're going to go down and you're going to check box a filter called Fixer Upper. That's where that arrow's pointing to right there, Fixer Upper. That's going to give you a list of properties that Redfin has deemed as Fixer Uppers. These are properties that you can go after and make offers on. Okay? Now, these three tools here, right here, these three tools here, these are going to allow you to do the sniper method at velocity, right? It's going to make it so that you can instantly have properties that you can call on and make offers on. Now, while you're doing that, you're going to bump into all kinds of properties. You're going to bump into all kinds of agents. And so then you're going to employ the shotgun method because you're going to just talk to those agents and do cold outreach. And then you're going to want to set up a really good follow-up campaign where you're following up with those agents constantly. Okay, and I'm going to get to that more as we go. But now I want you to be thinking, okay, how do I get in front of these agents? How do I put offers in front of them? Okay, So that's our free methods. Those 3 tools are going to allow you to do the free method. They're going to allow you to be instantly in front of leads. It's amazing because right now in 5 minutes, you can have leads in front of you that you can make offers on. The next method is low cost, and that would be cold calling. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to do that as well using PropWire. So you're going to go into PropWire, guys. This is part of your homework assignment. You're going to set up your free account. Now you can search and download as much as you want on PropWire for free. Now to download, though, you're going to need to create your free account. So just go in there and create your free account. The next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go pick on the free. So those are the free, the 3: tired landlord, out of state, and high equity. Okay, make sure you click that match all selected so it combines those 3. That's your list. Now the next step, guys, I want you to click single family homes. That's in the property type drop down, single family homes. And then I want you to go over to your wallet. I'm going to ask you guys to spend $20 right now. Okay, it's part of your assignment right now is to spend $20. You're going to click that little box up there, which is your account. You're going to click wallet, and you're going to put your credit card in, and you're going to create a $20 wallet in your PropWire account. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go to this box right here. Your results are going to be different based on your market on those 3 categories. So mine shows 455 on the screenshot I did. I'm going to select 200. Okay, so I'm going to put 200 in there. Then I'm going to check the box select all because skip tracing costs 10 cents per skip. You're going to spend your $20 now. Once you created your wallet for $20, select 200 of my list that I created. Then the next step you're going to do is you're going to click this box right here. Let me put this on full screen so you can see it maybe a little better. See that box right there? That's your cart. And you're going to click on that, and it's going to open up this window. By the way, guys, I'm going faster. You can watch the replay. But then right there, you're going to click skip trace and download your list of 200. You're going to spend that $20. You're going to get 200 phone numbers. Okay, guys, we're doing work now. It's time to work. No more messing around here, right? So you're going to spend the $20. You're going to get 200 skip traces. It doesn't charge if it doesn't generate a number. So you might have to skip trace some more if it didn't skip trace all 200. And then it's going to give you a list of names, addresses, and phone numbers. And you just skip traced a list of 200 highly motivated sellers in your market. Okay, for $20, you got 200 very potential leads for $20. Okay, very low cost to get in front of that. Now, let's talk about your homework here. Let's go over. Let's review here your homework assignment. Okay. I want you to post that declaration on the window or on your mirror. I mean, okay. The declaration was.
Why does it do that? I don't understand.
If you guys remember, that was I commit to you, Jerry, to myself, to God, that I'm going to do whatever it takes to be successful, so that I can bless my life, my family's life, and other people's lives. I want you to print that out, and I want you to put that somewhere where you can see it every single day. Okay, that's part of your homework assignment. I want you to choose your market. So if you're unclear about choosing your market, you have to do that, get clear on that, do a little bit of research. Remember, 500,000 minimum population, you got to be able to drive there in an hour, and the median home sales price needs to be over 300,000. You can figure that out on Google. Just do some Google searches on your market and make sure that you're fitting that criteria. Then you're going to set up your 3 on-market tools: Data Cruncher, PropWire, and Redfin Fixer Upper. By the way, in the Redfin Fixer Upper, when you check Fixer Upper, save that search and tell Redfin to notify you instantly when new leads come available. You're going to get an email then when a new Fixer Upper comes available for sale in your market. Okay, so those 3 tools, you're going to set those up. You're going to also set up your PropWire account, and you're going to do a custom search using those 3 filters that I showed you in your market. You're going to fund your wallet $20. And then you're going to skip trace 200 leads at 10 cents a skip. That'll cost $20. Okay. And then you'll be sitting on, now, if you do this homework assignment, you'll be sitting on a whole bunch of on-market leads for you to go after. And you'll be sitting on 200 skip traced seller leads that are highly motivated because they're list stacked. 3 different lists. Okay. So you can have a stack right now today, on-market and off-market leads that you can go after for almost no money. And then that's going to be your homework assignment. And then what we're going to do on day 2 tomorrow is we're going to be breaking down how to analyze those leads. I'm going to give you tools, and we're going to do training and show you exactly how to analyze those leads. And then you're going to take those leads that you're generating today on today's homework to then analyze them. You guys see where we're going with this? Day 3, it's going to be making offers. We're going to actually put this into practice. I don't want this just to be theory.
We are audio and video recording this ride for your safety.
Meaning you're going to put this into practice. Okay, I don't want this to be theory. This isn't just another YouTube video you get to watch of Jerry, yapping away about how to do something. This is doing it. The actual results come when we do this stuff. Okay, and we're going to be giving away a prize. We've got a Amazon bundle that we're going to be doing here, a book bundle. And I've got 3 books that have been monumental to me, life-changing for me. The first one is Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. This is by T. Harv Eker. This is, of all the books I've ever read in 20 years since I started in this has been the most transformational. It talks about the mindset around money, the mental blueprint you have to have around money and success. And he breaks down the negative mindsets we have and helps us realign and create new mindsets. And I realized when I read this book how many self-sabotaging mindsets I had around money and success that were preventing me, no matter how hard I worked, preventing me from reaching those goals. So it's been a lot of work for me to mentally overcome those things. These are things that were ingrained in me in my upbringing that were to my detriment. And I promise you, you have those as well. You have things holding you back right now mentally around money that you have to overcome. That's that book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. The second book is Rocket Fuel. This really breaks down the difference between a visionary and an integrator, understanding the role those play, how they're both vital to a business, I'm a visionary, which means I have to have really good integrators around me because I come up with all these great ideas. I create the vision for the team, really high level all the time, but I need somebody that's constantly implementing and making the thing happen that I'm coming up with, right? So, very instrumental book in my career, Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman. The third book is The Compound Effect, and this is Dan Hardy. And what Dan Hardy says in this book is he says, the way that you create massive results, the way that change happens, the way that you accomplish. Something of magnitude is not doing something of significance all at once. It's actually small, smart choices we make every day, consistently over time, equals huge results. And that's called The Compound Effect. It's another fantastic book that I love. So what we're going to do here is to do the homework assignment, you've got to do all those things I posted in the homework assignment. You got to put those in the Facebook group, show that you've done the homework, prove it, take screenshots and the whole 9 yards, prove that you've done the homework assignment. And then my team is going to review everybody that's done the homework assignments. And we're going to pick somebody that gets the Amazon book bundle. And then we're going to give that to you for free as a free prize to the winner. And we'll announce the winner tomorrow when we do the day 2 live. Okay. So on day 2, we're going to announce the winner in the beginning when we start. So if you guys are interested in winning this book bundle, by the way, if you don't win the book bundle, go ahead and buy those books anyway. But go ahead and wait because you might win the prize. We'll announce that tomorrow as well. And again, I want to go over some housekeeping things here so that you guys are aware of how things are happening here, what's going on here. So again, if you are watching this on YouTube, you have to then go register for the Facebook page. It is private. The only way to do it is to register. And I'll go ahead and put that link up here again for you. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll put this right here. So you need to go to flippingmastery.com/challenge. You'll register. It'll give you access to the Facebook page. Days 2 through 5 are only in the Facebook page. And it's getting shut down after this challenge is over. Unless you're VIP, then you get the recording. So if you guys want to do the VIP, you get the recordings, you get a workbook, and you get a bunch of cool bonuses. So where is that? Let me put that up here as well. You can upgrade at any time. So if you're not VIP, I would do that because you get all those resources and it will be worth it. Just go to flippingmastery.com/challenge/VIP, and we can put those links in the chat if that's helpful. Okay, so other housekeeping things. We did the homework. You got to go to the Facebook page, upgrade to VIP. I think those are the main things. Am I missing anything? Maybe if there's anything I'm missing, guys, let me know. But that was the main focus for today. Who's excited, guys? Leave a comment right now and let me know if you're excited to implement the homework. And who's all in? Tell me if you're all in. Leave a comment and say, Jerry, I'm so excited for this. I'm all in. And that you've caught the vision here. Tell me if you've caught the vision here and you're excited to really make the life of your dreams. Leave that comment right now, too. I did pretty good, guys. I only went 10 minutes over. That's actually fantastic. All right, seeing some comments coming in here. And guys, I've seen a lot of this comment here. I love it. This is so cool that you guys are putting this in the chat. I give it to you, myself, God, to do whatever it takes. So good job, guys. And we're going to go ahead then, guys, and we're going to wrap this up. And we're going to go ahead and end this live. And guys, be here on time tomorrow. It's going to be 2 p.m. Eastern time, 12 Mountain time. That's my time. And tomorrow, again, we're going to be focusing on how to take these leads that we generate, how to analyze them to get to our offer price so that we know exactly what to offer so that we can make money wholesaling and flipping those deals. So appreciate you guys. So excited to be here with you. Can't wait to continue on this journey with you. Appreciate you guys all.
Hey, Matt here. I just met with Chefs Tim and Jeannie at Kasama to learn how to make their combo sandwich. Now it's time to show you how to recreate it at home. Oh man, look how good that looks. Craving a taste of Chicago? Click the link to see the full recipe.
Today's about analyzing deals. And when I think about this step of analyzing deals, this really is where people get tripped up the most. This is the step where people waste the most time. And this is the step that kills more first deals than anything else. It's fairly simple to generate leads. So it's not the hard part here. There's tools that can do that. There's marketing channels that can do that. The hard part is this step 2, which is now I'm going to take a lead and I have to now
We are audio
figure out
and video
what is a
recording
good
this
deal
ride
look
for your
like?
safety.
What is a good offer price or buy price so that if I can get this deal at that number, I can go on to wholesale it and make money. Right? And so what happens is we tend to overcomplicate this. And leave a comment, let me know if you overcomplicate analyzing deals. Tell me, yes, Jerry, I struggle with analysis paralysis, right? Where I get hung up on running the numbers to figure out if it's a good deal. Because I think this is probably one of the most common areas of struggle for most people when they get started. Leave a comment, let me know if that's something you've struggled with. Just feeling super insecure about your number, feeling like you spent way too much time getting to the number and then still feel not very confident about the number, worried about if you're going to do it wrong because you have the wrong number when you go to a seller. If that's a concern and that's a worry you have, leave a comment, let me know. I think I see that as a very common occurrence here. It is a big area of concern that really shouldn't be. Let's really think about this. What I'm going to do here, and guys, I've never put together a training where I explain analysis the way that I'm going to explain it today. So I really think this is going to be transformational for many of you. When we look at analyzing the deal, what really are we trying to accomplish? The analyzing of a deal is really just the process of determining a buy price that would allow you to wholesale it for a profit. That's all we're really trying to do. If we really break it down, I'm just trying to get to a number that I can make money with. Right? That's really the big picture of it. But there's some misconceptions out there around our offer price. Because what I want to do now is I want to take analyzing, then I want you to set that aside for a second. Why do we analyze a deal? Well, it's to get to our offer price. Well, when we get to our offer price, there's a real misunderstanding about why we make an offer in the first place. And the purpose of making an offer to a seller or an agent is not to get a deal. Now, this sounds very counterintuitive, but stay with me here. It's not to get a deal. That's not why we make an offer. We make an offer to uncover motivation. That's why. That's the only reason why we make an offer. Now, if we happen to get a deal from that offer, fantastic. But the reason why we're putting an offer in front of a seller or an agent is to find out if they're motivated. Because if they're motivated, they're going to come to the table and we're going to dance, right? We're going to maybe put a deal together. How do we know if a seller is motivated? We can go through the pillars of motivation. We're going to talk about that. We could uncover what the distress is. We could do all these different things. But at the end of the day, the only way to really know if a seller is motivated is to put an offer in front of them and see what they do, see how they respond to that. How are they going to react to my offer? That's the only real indication if a seller's motivated. That's the only and best way to find out. So with that in mind, our offer becomes less about a number and more about a mindset, more about a process. So let's talk about the offer process. The offer process is to anchor low. It's not an actual offer, it's more of a ballpark. And that low anchor number should solicit a no. The seller should say, there's no way I can pay that price. That's how we make an offer, which means when we analyze a deal, what we really need to get to is a low number that we can use as an anchor so that the seller can say, no, I can't pay that low. That's all. That's really what we're trying to do. And when you can grasp this concept I'm trying to share with you right now, analysis does not become this overwhelming, complicated process. Now, settling on a number, and is the number that we're going to agree on and go under contract at, does that number need to be dialed in? Sure, that number needs to be dialed in. But that's a different situation than just making an offer, coming up with a number to make an offer, which is going to be 99% of what we do. 99% of what we do is not the actual deal, it's the offer. So again, what I'm trying to get to here is we need to make the analysis process way less complicated. We need to make it way faster, way more simple, and we need to make it all about soliciting a no, a low anchor, and not even an actual offer. When I say it's not an actual offer, what I mean by that is we're going to say something to the effect of, in the perfect world, I would be around 100,000. Now that's not an actual offer. I did not say the highest I could pay is 100,000. I said if I had my way, I would love to be around 100,000. Now 100,000 isn't my eventual number; it's just a ballpark number. So when we say in the perfect world I would be around 100,000, what the seller's probably going to say, if we did our anchor correctly, is the seller's going to say, "There's no way I can go that low." We just solicited a no. That's the intent. We want that. If they say, you know what, I'll take it, you probably didn't anchor low enough. So then how do we respond to that? We respond by saying, yeah, I get it. That's in the perfect world, I'd be at 100,000. But how close can you get to that price? Then what did we just do? Now we're going to uncover the real motivation. If they say, you know, I really was hoping to get 270, but I could probably come down to 150, you know, or whatever. I just made that up. But see, what we're doing now is we're actually getting to the real number that a seller will take. How? Anchoring low, soliciting a no, it's not a real offer, and getting them down to see what their bottom line is. That's really what the offer process looks like. Now, it doesn't mean whatever number they say is a deal yet, but what it means is it means when I've got to come up with a number to put in front of a seller, I need to make that a whole lot less accurate than it needs to be. It doesn't need to be very accurate. Most of the time, I don't look at comps, I don't do ARV, I don't look at repairs, none of that. I'm going to show you how to do this in a very simple way. What it really comes down to, guys, is it's about the timing. It's all about the timing. Initially, our initial low anchor price is not about accuracy. It's just needs to be low enough. That's it. It's just there to uncover motivation. That's all we need to get to. So if that's the case, then we can get there very simple, very easy way to get there. Now later, when it's time to sign a contract, okay, you know what? We're about to sign this contract for 110,000. Now it's the right time for me to do some due diligence. Maybe even after I sign the contract. A lot of times, guys, I'll sign a contract, I'll have due diligence in my contract, and then I'll really determine if I've got a good number. I'll really comp it. I'll drive comps. I'll get quotes on repairs. I'll really dig into the deal to see if I've got a good deal. But that's later when it's the right time. Okay, you guys following me with this? Leave a comment and say, Jerry, this is sinking in. I'm understanding analysis a whole lot differently. So leave that comment. Let me know if this is making sense to you, if you're grasping this idea around analysis. Okay, so then if that's the case, what is our buy formula? If we really dumb it down, if we really simplify it, our buy formula is this. What will a cash buyer pay in the marketplace for this deal, less my wholesale fee I want to make on the deal, equals my offer? That equals my max allowable offer, my MAO. That's our formula. What will a buyer pay in the market for this deal, less my fee? That's my buy price. So if that's the case, what we really need to do is understand, well, what do cash buyers pay for deals like this? What will a cash buyer in my market pay for this particular deal that I've got in hand? And when you can start to put yourself in the cash buyer's shoes and look at it from their perspective and understand how they look at deals and understand what makes sense for a buyer, now you start to do the analysis a whole lot better. And this varies, right? This is going to vary market to market, price point to price point. Your job is to understand what buyers pay for deals like this, whatever deal you're looking at in your market. What's the buy price look like for a buyer? When a buyer's looking at a deal and you're going to put yourself in their shoes, and this would be you if you're the buyer, what do you have to do? Well, first thing you have to do is establish value. I got to know what this property's worth. That's my starting point. I'm going to figure out value. Then I've got to figure out, well, what are my soft costs? And soft costs to me are closing fees, paying commissions when you resell, financing to fund the deal, and your profit. Those four things: closing fees, commissions, financing, and profit. Lump that all together into what we call soft costs. This is a number you have to take right off the top on any deal that you have to factor for. And again,
So, why are you single out there? What's your reason?
We are audio and video recording this ride for your safety.
also we believe in God because we're Christian, and I have to play by old tradition, and I respect it. I think that's the proper way, to be honest. I don't believe in divorce. I won't get married to get divorced. That's number one. Either you're gonna which I would never marry someone that I'm gonna divorce. So it's not even an option.